LG is back with another flagship of 2017 and it's the LG G6. The company has radically changed the design compared to the previous flagship. In this video, we'll take a look at the phone and find out if all the promises that LG makes is actually true with the G6 or not. The LG G6 is a big and chunky phone, but the best part about it is that it does not feel that big. The company has squeezed in a 5.7 inch of display size in a form factor that is even smaller than the iPhone 7 Plus. So LG completely scores a point here. Apart from the S8, LG G6 is the only smartphone that comes with nearly bezel-less front. So this is the top of the line design that LG has put in the market. But there are two things about the phone that we should tell you. First is that the build quality is drastically different from what the LG G5 was. The G5 was a modular phone and it was quite ahead of its time. The G6, for that matter, has a very practical build. It's a simple metal unibody design with the phone having a glass back that prevents heating. And it also has a water resistant design, which means that you can dunk it in water for about 1.5 meters. Secondly, compared to the S8, anyone would say that G6 screams practicality. The company says it's military standard drop resistant. That means you can drop it from about 1.5 meters of height and the phone can take it easily. It has a Corning Gorilla Glass 5 at the back and a Corning Gorilla Glass 3 at the front. Whereas the company should have used Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on maybe both the ends, and it's probably a cost-cutting factor that LG has taken into account. Whatever it is, we didn't find the build quality that promising. But we've got to give it to LG for keeping all the design elements same despite a major design shift. There's the lock button at the back with the fingerprint sensor, there's a dual camera, there's an NFC sensor that is placed beneath the metal back, which is quite a surprising thing. There are antenna lines that LG has placed all over the edges of the phone. There's a USB Type-C at the bottom with a speaker beside it. The microSD card slot comes off from the right and houses a micro SIM and a hybrid slot for SIM or SD card. And there's also a headphone jack that the iPhone 7 Plus misses out. So overall, the company has actually made a nice phone. It's just that we don't believe the tall claims about its sturdiness that LG makes. Now let's talk about what the phone packs inside. The G6 packs Snapdragon 821 chipset with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage, which is expandable via microSD card by up to 128GB. Though this is a last year's flagship processor, and you would want to believe that Snapdragon 835 is a much better chipset that now current flagships will ship with. But having used the Galaxy S8, we think the difference is mostly on paper only. Unless you're comparing it side by side with a smartphone that runs the 835 chipset or a phone that runs stock Android interface. Obviously the phone would have done great with the stock Android interface, but the LG G6 own UX built over the Android Nougat interface does well also. The interface is snappy, no doubt, but we didn't like the bloatware and a lot of apps that LG has put without any reason. The Galaxy S8 has taken a step ahead in this regard, and we don't know why LG couldn't come up with a cleaner interface on its flagship G6. Though LG has surely thrown in some nice things. For example, the Hi-Fi quad DAC will allow you to have great audio experience, and not only that, it also enhances the call experience by blocking out the noise. And there's Dolby Vision that enhances the display's color quality. Practically it does improve the display and we have seen the colors pop out quite nicely. Now coming to the display, LG uses a 5.7 inch screen that has an 18:9 aspect ratio. Generally you would find phones using a 16:9 aspect ratio. This means that LG has kept the display only as wide but has increased the length. So while you're using the phone's interface or for example browsing on the internet, you do get a bigger screen area that will have more screen space and you are able to comfortably read more text in the same size. Or while previewing the gallery photos, for example, you get a corner-to-corner view of the image. But all videos are not scaled to an 18:9 ratio. For example, when you're watching YouTube, you'll not get the full length of the display when you're viewing in landscape mode. So in some areas, you do get an advantage of a bigger screen in a smaller form factor. But if you're buying it for watching videos mostly on YouTube, then I don't think you'll get that benefit. Talking about the cameras, I really like the cameras that LG G6 ship with. They are dual camera setup with one a wide angle lens and one a normal lens that you get on other phones. Though the low noise capability of the phone is not that good and the color reproduction is slightly saturated. But they're quite a competitive set of cameras that you can anytime compare with the S8 or the Google Pixel. The shutter speed is quite fast as we have seen in moving shots, and the 3-axis optical stabilization also works well. Both this and the wide angle capability of the G6 gives it an edge over other phone cameras and is one of the best things to happen to the phone. So finally, is LG G6 a phone worth the buy? LG's stint at making smartphones was to get better with the newly designed G6. All the problems that the G5 had were to be addressed with the G6, and LG does make some good improvements with the device. But yet again, there are competitors in the market like the Galaxy S8 and the Google Pixel that push it for room for improvement. So the G6 is a nicely built bezel-less smartphone with great cameras and nice hardware, but it is not the best bezel-less smartphone available in the market.